Good morning. Please excuse my broken accent, but it seems that as I'm getting older, instead of getting better, it's getting worse. So I apologize for that. Pastor, thank you so much for inviting me. Tim, thank you for allowing me to talk to you all. And for those that has been at the farm, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because every time you all come to our farm, it's just such a blessing that I'm just go overwhelmed, and all I have to do is get on my knees and thank the Lord for moving your hearts to come and help us out. For those that do not know what my father's farm is, we're a nonprofit organization, and about 7 years ago, I was working as a real estate agent in Florida. God has blessed us financially. We were very successful in our real estate endeavor in Florida. And I was so uncomfortable going to church Sunday after Sunday, praising the Lord, paying my tithes, doing what a normal Christian should do. But I started feeling very uncomfortable if Christianity was just going to church. So we had the opportunity to go to a mission trip in Haiti, and that was about 7 years ago. Little that I knew that the Lord was really working on my heart when we got to Haiti. We went to a town called Belladere, which is about 3 hours away from Port-au-Prince, from the capital, unpaved road, and it was just devastating what my eyes saw when I was in Haiti. We started to help an orphanage there, orphanage school, and it was so bad the condition that these kids were living on that I say, Christianity cannot be just coming to church. Just to give you an idea, the kids didn't have any tables to write on it. And the way they write the notes that the teacher was giving us, he was giving in class, the kids lay down and the other kid put the paper behind the back and they're writing on the back of the other ones because they didn't have no tables where to write. That's how bad the conditions were. There was no bathrooms, and it was so amazing seeing the adults doing their things right in the playground, and the kids come out and play right on top with the other adults has done their thing. So, it just puzzles me that I say, I'm just only 30 minutes away from Florida, from the most powerful nation in the world, and how can kids be living in these conditions? So it really started bothering my heart when I came back to the state, making all this money, having a beautiful house, changing vehicle every year, and all the nice things that money can give you. I was not happy the way I was conducting my life as a Christian. So we went to prayer. We talked to the pastor at the church that we were attending, and we decided to go to Colombia, which is my hometown, and see if we can start building an orphanage there. So we went, my wife and I, we were sent by the church. We started seeking the possibility of doing something for children, especially because, what I saw in Haiti just circumcised my heart. And I say, I cannot continue living like this and thinking that life is all about you and wealth. The Lord taught us that we're here to serve and not to be served as He did. He came to serve, and He was the Son of God, and He was serving all the time. So how much more we have to serve others if the Lord does how He taught us. So we went and literally within 3 weeks, we purchased a piece of land in Santa Marta in the coast of Colombia. And my wife and I literally started walking the streets and finding children that were living in the streets. And there were quite a lot of children living in the streets. And when we started gathering these kids and building them, sending them to one of the family homes of the church members, then we got to start talking to the kids and get to their hearts and see, how is life being in the streets. And it just brings me so much difficulty because, I remember one kid, I asked him, what would you like for Christmas? And he said, an ice cream. And I just went to tears. that a kid will ask for an ice cream in Christmas when we have so much in this country. I mean, we're so blessed to be in the States and having these kids going through so much miserably. I remember one of the kids, his parents got killed by machete, and he saw how the kids were killed by a gorilla in the mountains, and how they got killed. Another kid, the mother didn't care for him, so he tied him with a chain to a table, and he was the maid of the house, and he has to cook, and his legs was all bruised because of being tied to a chain. And I mean, I can go on and on and on, and maybe I can have you all been crying with me because the history was just one after another. So we started building the orphanage, and as we were building the orphanage, we were so excited, and my career as a real estate professional was not important anymore. And I was just seeking how can we make more money, or how can we seek people to help us, because our passion was for those unprivileged kids. And I remember one of the kids that we picked from the streets. My first thought as a Christian and as a father, say, well, I'm going to go ahead with my wife, go and buy him shoes and clothes and give it a shelter. And this kid didn't care about anything that has to do with material thing. He was asking for a hug and somebody to tell him that I love you and that I want to take care of you. They live in the streets, so they don't have nothing. They don't care about having material things. They just want somebody to really take care of them. So that taught us a lesson that these kids needed more love than things. I, as a father with my own children, thought that giving them stuff and giving good car and giving them good school was important, and it is important, but it's not the ultimate need. They just need love and somebody to take care of them. So we started the orphanage, and when we start doing the budget and as far as how much money we were going to need to do so, I realized that the biggest item on the list of things to take care of the children was the food. These kids become very hungry when they come to the shelter, and they sure want to eat everything that we can put on the table. But it was becoming a very expensive item on the budget. So I decided to start using the land and start growing the land. In one of those trips to the orphanage, I pick up a lady who was working with 3 children. He was holding one and 2 other children, and she had a papaya and I think a few oranges and what have you. And she was walking on the road towards the city. So I tell her to get on the car and I will drive her all the way to town. So I got to talk to her, and I asked her, what was the reason why you're going to the city? I said, because one of my kids is ill, and I'm going to be selling this papaya and these oranges so I can buy him some medicine for the kid. And she had to walk 1 hour all the way to the city and another hour away back to her place on a 40-degree temperature on an unpaved road. And all this start puzzling in my mind. I said, this is ridiculous that God has given us a land, has given us plants that can cure, has given us seeds to plant that He can feed us. So I just started going crazy, visiting different places. How can we make this happen? And I was blessed by meeting a Catholic priest who has traveled all over the world. And when he went back to Colombia, he created what is today the largest nonprofit foundation for homeless children. And what he did, he started taking practices from different countries as how can we make our life sustainable just living out of a piece of land. And just to give you a scenario, he said, well, you can open a hole in the land, fill it with water, put a chicken coop on top of the water, put fish on it, and as the chickens poo, the fish will eat the poo of the chickens, and that's how they get fed. And the water, you can use it to fertilize the trees, and the trees will grow better because of what the fish is putting into the pond. And he started closing like a circle, and how can you become sustainable in a piece of land? And he has been very successful showing poor families how in a small piece of land you can be sustainable. So I kind of copy his scenario, and that's what we started at the orphanage. We're still far away from from having a complete setup of how can we sustainable. We started to ask for money as my real estate business started going down. And then we realized that we were spending more money asking people to give us money so we can help the kids. So I changed my prayer and I say, God, just give me a business that can be so successful that I can share as much as I can towards the helping your children, your orphans, because at one point I thought they were my orphans, but I understand it's God's orphans. And He wants, and He needs our hands and our legs to help doing so. So we started creating my father's farm. It has been a challenge to say the least, especially, I don't know why the Lord chose Texas, but I didn't know it was so hot. But He brought us here and we've been working so hard and you know, even with this heat, I mean, it's unbelievable, but this probably, in all honesty, has been our best summer ever financially. And only can God do those things. With this heat that everybody is experiencing, it's just unbelievable. We bought a piece of farm on 425, and things were not going good. I ended up injured. I ended up in a wheelchair for about 6 months, and we were losing the property. And here you'd say, well, here I have all this money. I put it towards the orphanage. The little savings we have it in a farm, and now we're losing our farm, and now I'm in a wheelchair. And here I thought I was doing the right thing for God. And what God had told me through all this ordeal is that I was building my kingdom and not His kingdom. So God kind of had to take everything away from me so I can now be really working on the kingdom of God. I met this gentleman at Chelsea Nursery at the place, and I called him. I said, Larry, would you be kind enough to rent me about 5 acres so we can continue planting, so we can continue on door with the children? He said, well, come back tomorrow and we'll meet at the nursery. And for those that do not know, it's a 52 acres. There's 100,000 square feet of greenhouses. There's tractors, there's machine, there's a bobcat. I mean, you name it. And this is a guy that I only met him once. And this was my second time that I was going to talk to him. And I said, Larry, I want to do this and this. And he literally gave me the keys. And he said, start using the place. So I turned at him and look and say, Larry, you know, how much are you going to be renting me the acres at the end of the land? He said, how about $1? And I look at him like I thought he was just joking. He said, I just wanted to use it to be successful, to help a lot of children. And here we're in 3 times bigger than we expected, paying $1 a month. So for the first time in my life, I paid 2 years in advance. So I haven't $24. So I saved $24. So, but you see, I realized now how God moves in the midst of all this. So, you know, we're still far away from having this successful business, but it's been good. It's going better. And every time you all come, it's another blessing. It's adding more. It's having more stuff so we can continue our endeavors. The orphanage is being up and down. Sometimes we feel like we have to shut it down. Then something comes and we keep moving on and on. So we're still working on it. And at the end, the bottom line is for you all, you know, I don't think God is looking for good doctors. No, God is looking for a good language teacher. Nor God is looking for a good chemistry people. He's looking for a Christian that is a good doctor, a Christian that is a good chemistry, a Christian that is a good teacher, but not the other way around. So I invite you to serve others. There's not such a joy that getting a laugh out of someone that is in need is just a blessing. So I just invite you all to in what you're doing to serve others. And we don't need that much. We really don't need that much around ourselves to be happy and to serve the Lord. Thank you. God bless you all.